In today's episode of Off the Pitch Talks, we are going to be talking about a very sensitive topic, so I urge you, if you're a sensitive person, to opt out of this video now. But we're going to be talking about the FA banning transgender athletes from participating in the women's game. So first of all, to start with, I think the FA is first of all the right decision, and they've dragged their feet on this one. It's something that should have happened years ago, not only to protect women's spaces, but also to protect the women's game. That's coming on to another topic. But also, you just can't have a man participating, someone who was not biologically a woman participating in a women's game. Because that takes away from biological women who spent years training to get to where they currently are and promoting the women's game, doing so much work to get the women's game to where it currently is at the moment. And let's not forget, women were banned from playing football at one point. I think it was back in the 50s until I think the late 80s, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it takes away from the women's game. And also, my views are separate from this. I'm not going to talk about my views on transgender athletes or transgender people. That's completely irrelevant in this video. But Australia's national team captain, Jackson Irvine, has been disappointed by the lack of support from the men's game. I just think a lot of male ballers are thinking the same. You can't have a man play in a women's game. So I don't know where he's coming from on that one. What I do think though is transgender athletes should have their own separate category to compete in. Because not only, obviously, I know when I was reading there's currently around 28 transgender footballers, but not only that, it also encourages future transgender people. I'm not promoting any agendas here, but it promotes people in that category, to increase the numbers. So when they see it, they think, okay, they're taking part. It only gives more transgender people incentive to take part instead of taking part in the women's game. Or a better word to use would be encouragement. It gives more encouragement for their athletes to take part in playing football, which I believe is a game for everyone, and everyone should be given the opportunity to take part and play. Again, like I said, in this episode, I'm not promoting any agendas and I'm not discouraging anyone from playing football and saying that anyone shouldn't be allowed. It's just plain and simply a reaction, my views to what I think on the FA's decision to ban transgender athletes from playing in the women's game. Thank you for listening to this episode of Off the Pitch Talks, and let me know your thoughts. Do you think transgender footballers should be banned from taking part in the women's game? I'd like to hear it.